Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I've been getting so many comments from people absolutely loving the region guides lately, so I want to lock in and start getting through some more of them. We started off with Ash Canyon and Timberwolf Mountain, so I tried to think of other good ones that might be less well known to players. Going along with that thought process, I ended up landing with Blackrock. Despite my feelings for this particular region of the island, it is actually a pretty fun one to look at the map for. But for the future, I was having a tough time figuring out what order I wanted to cover the regions in. But I eventually realized what the obvious answer was.
It's you.
Viewer? Yes, of course, it was you. So comment down below what region you guys want to see me cover next, and whichever one has the most support will be selected for the next region video. As always with these region guides, I'll be intentionally leaving out smaller, less important details so as not to completely spoil the sense of exploration that comes with being in a new region. These guides are simply to help you know where you are and what you absolutely can't miss. We're first going to go over why one would want to go to Blackrock, then we'll talk about transitions to and from the region, after that we'll explore the 3 main areas of the region, and finally we'll dive into key locations, with particular emphasis on the abandoned coal mine and penitentiary. So with all that said, let's get right into it. First things first, why would you even want to go to Blackrock? That really is the question, isn't it? But really, don't let my sour attitude influence your picture of this region, because there is actually quite a lot of stuff to do here, not to mention some unique loot. First of all, this region is the only place that you can find the Warden's Revolver and the Ballistic Vest. Blackrock is also home to one of the 2 milling machines and ammo workbenches on Great Bear Island. This region is also very rich in industrial areas, meaning that this region is fantastic when looking for tools, weapons, ammo, batteries, you name it. If it's hard hat level stuff, it's probably in Blackrock. It's not all awesome though. This region is home to a lot of Timberwolves, and the tight quarters that the region's landscape creates can give those Timbies the upper hand pretty quickly. Now that you know how great Blackrock is, let's talk about how to get there. But just before we do, let's establish our bearings, because this region can be extremely confusing to navigate. We'll make our central landmark just outside the prison entrance. It's one of the easier places to find, and connects to the roads that go right next to nearly every location in the region. We're also going to be separating the region out into 3 main areas: Central Blackrock, Eastern Blackrock, and Western Blackrock. I'm doing this because the region does involve a lot of backtracking to cover all of it, and we can use the roads to go on pretty straightforward paths that are easier to digest. Okay, with that settled, let's talk transitions, of which this region has 2. The first transition comes from Timberwolf Mountain and is this cave right here. It spits you out towards the bottom of Eastern Blackrock. We'll cover how to get there when we go to explore that side of the region. The other transition comes from Keeper's Pass, a massive 2-part transition region that connects into Pleasant Valley on its other end. That transition can be found at this train tunnel at the very bottom of Central Blackrock. Once again, we'll go over how to get there when we explore that part of the map, which we can actually start doing right now. To start our exploration of this region, we're going to go back to our central landmark. First off, pivot on them legs, give them a good 180, because right behind you is the infamous Blackrock Penitentiary. We'll come back to this place later to explore it in greater detail. Let's start walking down this main road. This road will continue on for a while, but eventually it will split off into 2 roads. The road to the left will bring us to Eastern Blackrock. Hello, Stars and Post here. It's going to be a little bit echoey, but I just realized while editing that I never actually walked you guys to a bridge that I'm going to reference a little bit later, so follow me down this path real quick till you reach this bridge, and this bridge officially gets you over into Eastern Blackrock, so just remember that for later. Taking the road that splits to the right will bring us back across the lower section of Central Blackrock, and bring us to a few noteworthy spots. The first thing you'll see is this clearing with an old barn and ruined cabin. You have arrived at Jailer's residence. If you keep following that road beyond this point, you'll very quickly reach another split. If you take that split to the left, it will lead you towards a bridge and then lead towards the transition to Keeper's Pass. But wait, you actually cannot get to the transition from this road. I mean, this place is called the Blocked Bridge for a reason. To reach the transition, go back to where this road branched out and follow me. We'll go up the road a tiny bit more before walking down this path to the river below. Once there, you should be able to see a path that goes back up to the road that's just across the frozen river. Walk up that path, and you'll see the transition tunnel. Okay, now that we've done that, meet me back at the road just before going down to the river. Keep following that road some more, and keep an eye out for the old substation. It'll be very hard to miss. This spot has some pretty good potential tool spawns, and an interior with a bed so that you can take refuge if needed. Now back to the road once more. We only have to walk a tiny bit farther to reach the narrow bridge, which will bring us over into western Blackrock. The bridge is very aptly named, so be very cautious while crossing it unless you want to be promptly met with this screen. Once you've gotten across, it's time to ditch the road, because following it here will simply lead us to a dead end. Instead, head this way to the left. It's not the most direct route to where we're going, but it brings us by this little frozen marsh area which will have some cattails for you to harvest. Which reminds me, there are a lot of cattails throughout this region. Not as much as Ash Canyon or Forlorn Muskeg, but still quite a few, so if you're near water, keep an eye out for them. Plus, right next to this little marsh area, there's a cave with a bed in it, so you can always stop here to warm up before continuing. Now follow the wall of the region until you reach this fallen tree bridge, which will have you overlooking the other side of the landslide that fell onto the road. Keep this place in the back of your head for now, but continue along the bridge to the other side. This pathway will have a couple small climbs, another fallen tree bridge, and then it's going to open up. But wait, it may not seem like it, but you're actually standing on a crossroad right now. It's very easy to miss, but there are two options on where to go here. You could go straight across the fallen tree right in front of you, or you could turn around and walk up this slope across this tree bridge and follow that path. Let's first follow the path straight ahead. This will bring you to a small, canyon-like area that has some small game, cattails, and a cave along it. At the end of this little canyon, you'll find a rope climb that brings you to this old, destroyed cabin. You have officially reached the Forager's Remnant. Despite not having any interior areas, this place is actually not too bad. The cabin may have some loose loot and has a stove, and just below the cabin is a shed that has a workbench and some potential tool spawns as well. While at the shed, you should be able to spot this pathway. Following that will bring you back to the main road. But before we continue on, let's go try out that pathway from before. Back at that tree bridge, go up the slope that I pointed out and across these two fallen trees. Man, there's an awful lot of really convenient dead trees around here. Once across, follow the wall to your left until you reach this bridge. Across the bridge, you'll find a trailer. Inside, you'll get warmth, possible food, clothes, medicine, maybe even a storm lantern. It's the basic loot table for a trailer like this. Once you've done all you want to do here, follow this little pathway to reach the main road. If you take a left and follow the road there, you'll end up back down towards the landslide that you were overlooking at the very first tree bridge. If you take a right, you'll eventually get to that pathway that leads back to the Forager's Remnant. Alrighty, the final thing to note about this area of the region is the power plant. If you follow the main road from where those two paths meet, you'll arrive at the power plant. Inside, you'll find some minor loot items and potentially some tools like a heavy hammer. But the most notable thing about this location is that if you go through this door and walk across the river, you'll be able to access the steam tunnels, an area that not only has a lot of food, but also leads you straight back to the penitentiary. But with that out of the way, we've wrapped up the most noteworthy landmarks and locations over here in western Blackrock. So let's head over to eastern Blackrock, my personal favorite section of the region. Meet me back at this bridge that I mentioned way back in the central Blackrock section of the video. The one that I said leads to eastern Blackrock. Once you're there, follow the road. While we're walking, I want to let you guys know that the road over here gets very windy, so we'll actually be leaving it quite a bit to take some shortcuts and reach some key locations. But if you ever get lost, you'll be able to find the road pretty easily and use that to get your bearings. Anywho, by now you should have arrived at Cook's farm, a small clearing that may not look like much, but the barn has a bed, stove, workbench, and potential tools as well, so it's definitely worth a visit. Once you're ready to move on from that place, you'll actually want to take only a couple of steps farther on the road before looking to your right, where you should be able to spot this log pile up the hill. Instead of following the road, head towards those logs to find yourself at Foreman's Clearcut, a trailer by the road that can serve as a good sanctuary in case you get caught out in bad weather or the Timberwolves are giving you a lot of trouble. Once you've done everything you want to there, get back to the road and follow it to the right. After just a couple of steps, you'll see this small climb. If you head over to that climb, you'll be put on a short path that leads to this cave, which the more observant of you guys will recognize as the transition into Timberwolf Mountain. So if you need to make your way over to that region, then just come back over here to find the transition. But now let's go back down to the road where we first saw that little climb. Continue along the road until you walk underneath this fallen tree arch. Then walk up to this log and look out towards the marsh to lay your eyes upon the Bricklayer's Retreat. This cozy little place is an identical building to the Mountaineer's hut in Timberwolf Mountain. It has a workbench just outside of it, some loose loot spawns, a bed, fireplace, bedroll, and a couple potential tools. It can also make for a nice safe house in this region after you fix the door. What's wrong with that door? Whatever, I should still be able to fix it. Oh. Never mind. I guess you can't fix it even with woodworking tools. Okay then. Well, anyway, after we all finish sobbing about the fact that we can't fix this dumb door, we can continue along. Immediately after stepping out of the door of Bricklayer's Retreat, look right to spy this big ol' rock right here. You're gonna want to walk straight to the left of that rock. If you do, you'll quickly find yourself back at the road once again. Continue to follow it to the right for a little bit, but stop once you notice all of these dead trees scattered across the road. The next and final stop along this road is the Prepper Bunker, but there is one thing that longtime players of the Long Dark will know about in this upcoming area. If you have the DLC, and Cougars enabled, the first Cougar spawn in Blackrock is pretty much unavoidable along the way, unless you take a small detour. If you don't play with Cougars in your game, then no worries. All you have to do from here is to keep walking along the road and you can meet me again after I've taken the detour. But for those of you who do play with Cougars, follow me. Instead of continuing along the road from here, go left off the road and walk up to this rock. Then veer left very slightly and walk through these trees to find this pathway. This will lead you to Fool's Corner, which is actually a place we're going to come back to later, so keep that in the back of your mind. Once you reach Fool's Corner, there's going to be a rope climb that descends into the canyon and down to the river below. But we won't be using that right now. Instead, go right and follow this path back towards the road. You will start to hear the cougar very soon at this point, because we all know they are very, very, very vocal. But the bright side is, once we get out of this path, we are just barely within its territory still. All you need to do is have some deterrent ready just in case, and crouch once you can hear the cougar's super duper ridiculously loud screams. Once you're out of the path, you'll be able to see the road very quickly. Go to it and follow it to the left to reach safety. Once you're in the clear, you'll quickly find yourself at the Mule Bridge, which leads to the abandoned coal mine. But, this bridge is clearly broken, so how do we get over there? No worries, my friends, we shall cover that in just a moment. For now, I want you to do another quick 180 and walk towards these scrub bushes to find the Prepper Cache. Once you have found it, we can finally wrap up our trip through Eastern Blackrock. Before we move on to key locations, I want to once again remind you all that I intentionally don't cover every single little secret in these guides so that you guys can still find new things while exploring. And for this region in particular, I would encourage exploring off the beaten path, as there are all sorts of little loot spots and shortcuts to discover. Anywho, with that said, let's dive into our key locations for this region, starting with the abandoned coal mine. The main reason to go to this place is to grab the door code that will allow you to access the milling machine and ammunition workbench inside the penitentiary. But there is also a lot of good supplies that can be found here as well. As we saw before, the bridge that leads to the mine has collapsed, so in order to get to the coal mine, we have to descend into the canyon and climb up the cliff wall on the other side. There are two main ways to get down into the canyon and reach the climbing spot. The first one will have us starting at the penitentiary, so meet me back there and start making your way down the road. Keep walking until you spot this car on the side of the road. Walk a little bit past the car and look for this footpath off to the left. Once you see it, follow it until you reach this bridge, but instead of taking the bridge, look to the left for this path that's going to have a couple of little climbs on it. Follow that path to reach the river at the base of the canyon. Once you're here, you simply have to follow the river upstream. It's a pretty decent walk, but eventually you'll reach this area where the river is much wider, and you'll be able to spy the rope climb on the left cliff face. Before we begin that climb up, let's look at another easy way to get here. Remember that rope climb at Fool's Corner? Well, let's climb down that now, and we'll end up at this part of the river below the collapsed bridge. From here, you can go left and go down this small waterfall. Keep in mind though, this is a one-way path, so you won't be able to go back up the way you came. Once you're down there, look along the right cliff wall to find that same rope climb. Now make sure that you have some coffees or a bedroll, because you've got two beefy rope climbs ahead of you. Once you get to the top, there's going to be a narrow pathway to follow. One thing that I will point out is there's a very convenient cave that is here, very close to the top of the rope climbs, which does have a bed in it and makes for a very nice place to take a breather before heading into the mine. Once you make it to the end of that pathway, you're going to be at Last Prospect. You'll see two paths here, with one going right to the entrance of the mine, and another going into a little area with a couple loot items. Okay guys, now we're going to do something a little bit different, where I'm going to record myself doing a walkthrough of the mine so that people who want some help navigating it can have a very clear, easy path through the mine. But before we hop into that, keep these two things in mind. First, if you want to explore and solve this maze of a mine yourself, please skip this part of the video. Use the video chapters to skip ahead. Second, I will not be showing you guys every nook and cranny of this mine, and just the main route to the end. I would heavily encourage you guys to explore this location thoroughly, as there are quite a lot of supplies and tools that can spawn here off the beaten path. Alright, with those things in mind, let's get right into it. Okay guys, so here we are inside of the Blackrock mine. First things first, you're going to want to make sure that you are not over encumbered, because there's going to be a couple portions where you have to sprint. But besides that, just make sure that you have a light source with you, and you should be more than fine after that. So, we're just going to get started. Let's go. We're going to run down here. Ooh, jumped a bit. Going to go through this little tunnel here. And keep on going. Until you get here. Go under here. And then you're going to go across this bridge.
Yeah, breathing.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Go across that bridge, go through this tunnel. Maybe an earthquake. And then you get to this area. You're going to want to go over here real quick and grab the elevator crank. Then you're going to go to the elevator. Once in here, we're going to go down as far as it's going to let us. We'll speed this up because it takes a long time. Alright. Now you get out. And then we keep on going down here, but we're going to turn left right away into the danger toxic gas door. Good sign, good sign. So we're just going to run through. This is fine, that's just air. And you're just going to keep walking forward. Take a left into this door that says elevator. Alright, and then when you see this, this is some toxic gas. So there's two things you can do here. One, if you're unencumbered and you have enough sprint, you can actually just run through this entire section no problem without having to worry about suffocation at all. If you do want to be extra safe though, there is a small little alcove that I'll show you while running that you can stop and breathe in before keeping going. Keeping going, very smart. Anyways, go in here, stand up once you can, and then just start running. You'll see the suffocation risk, but don't worry about it, you got 50 seconds. Keep on running. And then there's going to be a little alcove. It's right about here. You step in, and you're fine. Don't ask why. No idea why. But again, you honestly don't even need to go in here at all because you can just keep running and go straight to the next elevator, and you'll get out of it without suffocating as long as you're not encumbered. But that being said, let's keep going. Next elevator's right here. Get in it. And then we go up, and we're actually gonna stop at the second floor, not the first floor. Meaning that we're on floor 3, we're going up one floor to floor 2. All right, on floor 2 now. We hop out, and then keep on running. There's no other ways to go down this tunnel. It's just one tunnel, no branches. You run down it. Go over to here, through this fence, take a left, and then over here you got a little bed and lockers, and then inside of this locker, you find the key code. Now to get out from here, you can't go back the way you came. That's not a good idea, it'll take a long, long time. We can listen to Mackenzie's heavy breathing. Alright, now that we've gone down that path again, we're going to get back in the elevator. And then we just go back up to the very top. And then once you're out of there, you got another long tunnel here. Just one path, no branches, just go down it. And then eventually you'll get back to this room with that bridge you crossed. Take a right, you see the mine exit sign. Go through that. And then from here, it's just back through that first cave that you walked through. And then on the other side of it, you'll see the staircase that you came from and the exit. So that is the complete, direct walkthrough of the abandoned coal mine. Alrighty guys, with the mine fully covered, let's now talk about this region's biggest attraction, the penitentiary. To reach the penitentiary, you just have to go back to that first meeting place, turn around, and walk on into the penitentiary. This location is chock full of supplies. Clothes, food, medicine, weapons, tools, you name it. On top of that, the penitentiary is also home to 2 unique loot items, the Warden's Revolver and the Ballistic Vest. This is also a massive location though, and can be quite confusing to navigate, especially while within the prison's interior. But before we do another walkthrough, just like the mine, I will only be guiding you guys through the most direct route and leaving extra exploration up to you guys. And if you don't want to be spoiled on how to get around this location, then use the video chapters to skip ahead. Alrighty, we have 2 destinations in this walkthrough. First, I'll show you guys where the room that you can enter the key code from the coal mine is. Then, I'll show you how to get the Ballistic Vest, which is at the very end of the prison's interior. So without any further ado, let's do it. Alright guys, this is now the penitentiary walkthrough. So, we've walked up, thank you birds, we've walked up from our little central point, which is just down there on that little road. We've walked up towards the penitentiary, and we're going to enter through this door. Now, I am on Pilgrim difficulty, just for the sake of the walkthrough here. So, when you hear animals fleeing from me, that's why. But, go through this door, and then you're actually going to not be able to get through the main doors of the penitentiary. If you want to get deeper into it, we're gonna go this way, which also has the, man, I can't talk. Which also has the which also has the place where you enter the key code from the mine. So on an Aurora day, punch the key code into here, and those doors will open, and you'll get access to the milling machine and ammo workbench. Now, to get to the deepest parts of the penitentiary and be able to find the Ballistic Vest, just follow where I just did through those fence doors. And then you're going to run over to here, just kind of straight along the wall. And then you're going to go through here and through this gap. And the fences. As you can see, there's a lot of wolves over here. But once you're through that gap, you're going to look for this door, go through it, and then you're going to be back here in the back section of the mine building. You're going to want to keep going. Another wolf. You'll definitely want some protective measures if you're going to be coming back here not on Pilgrim. Because these wolves are in close enough proximity that you won't really be able to kite them very well sometimes. With that said, you're going to find this rope here. Climb up it. And then follow the railway here. There's only one way to go, so you won't get lost. Follow this over to here. Then take a left. Go up these stairs. And you'll end up with this door here that you can walk through to get some interior areas explored here. But where we're going to go is just through this doorway here. Alright, inside now with the lantern, because it's very dark in here, we're going to go down these stairs, through this room, and crouch under these desks. Then we're going to take a right, go down these stairs, and then there's a vent here that you want to crawl through. These doors do not open. The light can be a little bit finicky in here sometimes, as you can see. But that's okay. Then you're going to come out through here. And then just take a left through these double doors. Then you're going to see this rubble. This door can be opened, so you're going to go through it. Through the whole room. Take a right. Find this door. And then you'll have to crawl through the rubble here. And then once you're through that, you'll take a right here, and you'll find this line of prison cells. the very, very end of it, you'll find this dead prisoner and the ballistic vest.
This'll come in handy.
But yeah, that's how you get to the ballistic vest at the end of the mine. To get back out of here, there's no convenient circle method or like loop made in the map. You have to go back the way you came. Bit long, a bit tedious, but that's how you get out of here. Just go right back the way you came. Alrighty guys, with that, you now know everything that you need to know to navigate Blackrock. You're all set up to find your way across the region and begin exploring it for yourself. If I missed anything in this video or you have any questions, then let me know down in the comments and I'll do my best to help you. Also, don't forget to comment the region that you want to see covered next. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, then consider leaving a like as it really helps out the channel. If you want to see more from me, then grab the nearest fish and slap that subscribe button. Thank you all so much, and I will see you in the next one.